I walk the streets with my swagger on, supernatural, facing a million opponents, and my role is to act alone. Lights, camera when the action's on. Where I roam is a battle zone, a vigilante in the catacombs. But I rock with a hot shot like a clock when it's cocked and popped and the lead is gone. People say that my head is gone, but it's them same people with need of my help when I'm heading home in life. They say that everybody got a purpose, so I roam the city streets like faulty cellular service. The hot shot sharpshooter superhero, destined to shine like light through the dark and evil. I fight for what's right in the hearts of people and try to open y'all eyes, cause it's hard to see truth. You ever feel like everybody's the same but you different? That's when you know you're here to make a difference. Hot shot, you got a choice to make: stand up or stand down. Fight or flight, get up, bang out. The world's waiting, can't wait to see what you about. It's showtime, act now. Hot shot, you got a choice to make: stand up or stand down. Fight or flight, get up and bang out. The world's waiting, can't wait to see what you about. It's showtime, act now. Hot shot.
What's up, everybody? How you doing? I'm Mike Watson, most epic in some corners, the most enthusiastic person in comics, and we're here for another episode of Chat and Draw, live and in person on the Agents of Geekdom Network. I'm still working on my singing voice, y'all. Hey, man, it's been pandemonium getting ready. We're in the midst of launching our next Kickstarter, which is for the Vigilance trade. Please give that a follow at fskgo.com. fskgo.com. I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. But you can always go check out Freestyle Comics at fsknow.com and our Patreon page as well. And don't forget to give our sponsor a shout, Clip Studio. If you scan that, you download it, you get to try it out. Full access, 90 days. Full 90-day access on that. I like to use this to help people who are trying to go into digital art and kind of really may not know how to dive into that or where that should start at for them or where they should go. This is the perfect time to give it to them, to let them have this and try it out for 90 days to get that full feeling of what Clip Studio has to offer. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to see what Clip Studio has to offer because I'm using Clip Studio to draw today to design what we are. I'm going to be actually using Clip Studio and some Photoshop because we're doing something a little different. So yeah, go ahead, scan that, check that out because that could be the thing for you. I started off in Procreate, which I still use on my iPad when I'm on the road, and I have just dove into Clip Studio for like maybe the last year and figuring some things out. I am enjoying it, having a good time with it. I just finished my comic book, Hot Shot number 13, all in Clip. So it's definitely a good program, and I'm trying to learn more about it as we go. So what can I talk to you guys about real quick? Vigilance, the Kickstarter, is launching this Friday at 10 a.m. You want to be there for the live stream because I'm going to be raffling off between the people that have shown me that they are following the campaign, a free commission of Vigilance. I'm going to knock off the dust off my traditional hands, and we're going to draw you a commission piece of Vigilance for you to have in your reward package. Now, there is a caveat here. If we hit 100 followers on the Kickstarter, I'm going to show you the spicy collector's cover, and I'm going to launch the stream. So we may not have to wait until Friday, because if we get it cracking during this show, guess what? I'm launching it. I'm just going to pull the trigger and launch this Kickstarter. All right? We are at 89 followers right now. We need 11 more. If we get 11 more, I'd be more than happy to start this Kickstarter and show you the spicy cover tonight. Hotshot Kickstarter, that was all shipped. Jackets, hats, keychains, all the stuff has been shipped with that. All the books, with the exception of the action figure, we are still making those. I apologize for that, but the action figures will be coming. But everybody should have their tracking numbers, or they should have gotten their stuff by now. If you have not, please just message me. All right, I think that is all that we need to get caught up on as we are diving in here. My hands are full, man. Get ready for the Kickstarter, getting ready for Middletown Comic Expo this weekend. It's getting big, and it's happening, and they're almost sold out of VIP passes. So please make sure you head over to Middletown Comic Expo. Is this it? Yes, it is. Scan that QR code. That takes you over to Middletown to go ahead and get your VIP passes or your regular tickets. The VIP passes are almost sold out. We have a silver and we have gold. You want to get over there before they're all gone. I think this weekend is going to be bananas in Middletown. I plan on going down there, having a good time, and going to get some barbecue from Dayton. I found a place. But yeah, let's see how we are. J-Man, what's up, man? How you doing? Let's get ready to get into the show and bring out our guest in traditional chat and draw fashion.
Wait a second. A new opponent has interrupted the tournament.
What's up, sir? How you doing?
How's it going? Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Welcome to the show. I'm going to give you the main screen and let you talk to everybody and tell them who you are and what you represent. Why are you on the show today?
Yeah, I'm Terrell Fields. I'm here with Blerd. We're a media company and streetwear brand by Black Nerds. Started back in 2019. And we were really just trying to make both a brand and place for, Black nerd creators to really kind of showcase what they're doing. Pretty simple.
I mean, when you put it so eloquently like that, of course. Yeah, it sounds really simple, man. Thank you for that. All right, so I met this guy at a comic book convention. We had several conversations, and I was like, got to get him on the show. Can we talk about this? I love the project. I love the brand. I've seen you at a few other shows, and Atlantic was like the first show I really got to sit down and conversate with you as we get ready to dive into this thing. Can you tell us, how did you even get started? Like, how does Blerd begin? How did you get on this path to where we are today? What's your origin story?
Oh, geez, origin story. I mean, it probably starts literally from birth for me. I mean, my parents were into nerdy stuff pretty much my entire life, so having their influences on me really is kind of what started the path. I'd even say siblings, cousins, things like that. A lot of the people around me liked these things, so it kind of naturally progressed me into it when I was a child. Uncle was a cartoonist. My father could draw, so that was a big influence on me. I think it kind of played a big part in, I guess, my understanding of composition when it comes to our brand.
Mm-hmm.
Even me understanding where to place things, I think I got an eye for it from that. And also when I got out of college, I worked for a promotional products company. And that's basically all that is placing art and logos on different products. So I ended up getting all these experiences and things like that. And I think it just kind of helped me really kind of get a mental vision for what it's going to be to start. Because when I first, the first step really was me registering the domain for Blerd.com, like way back in 2014. One of my really good friends, me and him were at work, and I went on some rant. I don't even know what I was talking about, but I went on some rant, and he looks up at me, and no people on the screen can't see me, but I'm pretty tall. I'm like 6'4". And he looks up at me, and he's like, "You're the biggest nerd I know, biggest Blerd I know." And I was like, I wonder if like that's a website, if that's a thing. So I Google it, and like nothing pops up for it. So I go and buy the domain, and I'm like, it'd be really cool one day to start a business around this, like, um, and I kind of just like let it sit there for years, working corporate, selling. I sold tech for most of my career, so I'm selling PC hardware, I'm selling software as time goes on, and I'm like, you know what? For me to start this the way I really want to, it's probably going to take a lot of money. So I was saving up money. And then I was like, it's also going to take the right people. I was like, I need the right team around me to make sure that this is done the right way. So that's kind of some of the genesis of the pieces of the puzzle come together. It's like partially my own nerdy interests. It's partially, having family members have these nerdy interests. It's partially, me going and working in software, working it directly with like technology on the corporate side, and it's also me on the marketing side, kind of like learning how to put pieces of a brand together. So that was a little bit of a long rant, but that's kind of how all of it kind of fell together, at least from the initial point.
There are no long rants on Chat and Draw, man. People come in here, they like to watch me doodle. But a lot of creatives watch the show, so they want to know how people got their start, how they got their leg in, and things like that. So yeah, it's in the title. We're here for it.
I even brought this out of the closet, like going back to like my family, and like composition and things like that. You could.
Okay.
This is super old. This is a piece that my father did, and
Hold on.
you look like real close. You can see even the date. It's 1992 on it, so super old. Something I had like my whole life has been up on the wall. So it really starts from being a kid. My father liked Ninja Turtles. I ended up loving Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe. Those were like my two biggest things when I was a kid. And then my one thing that was really cool was my cousin's grandpa owned this candy store. It's maybe 2 blocks away from where my grandma stayed. And I remember he got Street Fighter 2 in the candy store. So we would just sit in there, play Street Fighter all day. This is when I was living up in Philadelphia. So we would, like kind of like the Ogons area, West Oak Lane, the Cheltenham Mall too. They had the arcade machines. We go there, a bunch of quarters. I want to say hours, but sometimes it was minutes. But we go there, eat pizza, play video games. One thing that was really smart is my parents. A lot of parents would be, especially back then, they'd be like, "Oh, don't sit on the video game all day. What are you doing with yourself?" My parents were more like, they'll sit here and be good and be quiet and not really mess with us if we let them play the game for hours and hours. So they would buy me and my brothers all the new games. We sit there play video games for hours and hours and hours. And to some extent, sometimes we'd be watching ourselves, Like those are some of my favorite memories is playing video games with cousins, my little brothers. To this day, I would say probably within the, I guess, columns of nerddom out there, I would probably put video games as like my favorite, the one I lean into the most.
Well, I'm a video game fan myself. Are you playing anything right now?
I wish I didn't start this, but I've been playing the First Ascendant. So if you ever played like Destiny, Warframe, games like that, where you're just grinding and grinding for loot, very similar. I'm just like, I'm burning up so many hours grinding for these things where, something new the next season's gonna come out, and none of it's gonna matter anyway. But playing that, start playing Red Dead Redemption 2 again.
Oh, okay.
God, I'm playing a lot of games. I played Stellar Blade, went through that, 100% of that game. That was,
100% of it.
yeah, I was hooked on that one for a little bit. What did I play? Played the new Zelda, the new Pokemons. I was playing that for a bit. What else? God, I'm trying to think of Final Fantasy. I was playing that one. Is that everything? I'm trying to not start anything new because lately I've been really good at playing partials of games but not finishing them. And there's like just at least a few games that come out recently where I was like, I want to play them, but I'm just like controlling myself. I'm like, don't start it. You haven't finished these other games. And I have a toddler now, so that has just made it worse. I'm like, I don't really get as much time to sit there for hours and hours a game like I used to, but you know, when it's downtime, I still enjoy it.
I get it. Yeah, I played First Descendant. I played that for a little bit. I'm okay at Destiny 2, but when I try to branch out to any other type of shooter like that, I'm trash. So I didn't last very long on that, but I am currently playing Warhammer 40,000 right now, Space Marine.
Yeah.
And that has been pretty cool so far. I got it because I like to play multiplayer with my friends and stuff. So that's what I'm waiting to do. Our schedules have not aligned yet, but it's a pretty beastly game. I just finished. What did I just finish? Dragon's Dogma 2. I like big, expansive fantasy games. Oh my god, I love them. So lots of fun.
So you play like Elder Scrolls?
Actually, not Elder Scrolls. I don't like the way it looks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's the one where it's first person, right?
Yeah.
I don't like my fantasy in first person.
That game is so good though. That's such a good game. I was playing what was that, maybe a month ago. I just put on a whole bunch of mods because like I've already run through that game before, but I started putting a whole bunch of mods, going crazy with the game, and it has good playback value too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear it's good. If I could just get past the fact that it's in first person mode, because I like seeing my character, I like seeing my armor and stuff.
You can get out of first person mode and play third person too.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. So, that it might be worth checking out.
Yeah, that might work. I like adjustments, so we'll see. All right. So you guys own the rights to the name Blerd, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple of pieces of it. So first, kind of like what I was talking about earlier, was getting the .com, like having the domain, so that whenever we create content, like Blerd pops up, was really kind of key. So I even tell people, when you're starting a business, like go out there. Just because it's like a good idea in your head doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna be a good idea practically.
Mm-hmm.
Like go out there, see if domains are available, see if other people have created something very similar and how big of a foothold they have into it. Go out there and see, are things copyrighted, are things trademarked, are the social media handles already taken. Like go out there and like see what's already been done before you jump into it, because you don't want to get all the way down the line or spend a whole bunch of money and time and what you're doing is not viable because somebody else had like a foothold into it. So for us, the domain was the first piece, and then we got like the trademarks and this is the other thing I think a lot of people don't know this, but your trademarks are also by like certain categories too. Mm-hmm. So just because you own a trademark in one category doesn't necessarily mean that you own it in another.
Okay.
And so that's something that's really key. There's different classes of trademarks out there. Generally speaking, like you can get copyrights on things pretty easy by publishing them on certain platforms, basically showing that you've done this. But you really want to, if you're creating a brand, you really want to make sure that you're pushing towards getting those trademarks.
All right, all right.
I think for me, I'm very big on the business pieces of things too,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's one thing to really have a great idea, and even to be really good at something, but I'm like always have to be like your business right too. Like I'm very big on that because you don't know what's going to happen. Like your brand, your comic, your manga, whatever you're making might blow up and be really big, and you want to make sure that you have all the pieces in place to take advantage of that when opportunities pop up.
Absolutely. Let's see here, sir. Here.
You did that outline really quick.
Huh?
You did that outline quick.
Oh, well, when I was doing my research on Blerd and looking up like your color schemes and kind of designs that you've had and stuff, I know like me and you already kind of like talked about an idea of what to kind of do on here already. So I worked out some slight sketches, so I'd be able to kind of jump into like the colors and design work because I had an idea. Well, you'll see it as it comes. But
I was
yeah, I
gonna
was
say
trying to prep a little bit.
off the cuff. I was like, that is crazy. That's probably a good segue to kind of what we're working on next. So, um, from a brand perspective, we're pushing more into original IP.
Hmm.
Um, there's lots of inspired by things out there, but we're really big on making sure that we have original IP that we can use throughout our brand. And one of the natural evolutions into the next theme or collection that we're doing is going to be Blerd Sports.
Yeah.
You're seeing more and more athletes really kind of be proud with showing their nerddom out there.
Yep.
And I'm like, let's like serve that too. And we look at the members of our team. Most of the team has played some sort of sport, has some sort of affiliation with certain sports. I played basketball. Chris on my team played basketball and football. Other members of the team have played basketball, volleyball, all of these different sports. I'm like, it would be really cool to do a collection where it's drawn in either anime or comic style, but it's a sports collection. Like I think Nike did something with anime. That was maybe a year or two ago, but I feel like you don't really see a lot of that type of merchandise and apparel out there. And
No, you don't.
I think what we're going to be bringing to the market is going to be really unique. Like even compared to some of the things we've done in the past, I think this is going to be something that at least our world hasn't really seen before. So I'm really excited for what's coming up.
Yeah. The only things that I remember standing out fashion wise was when Mark Echo got the license to Marvel Comics, and they were doing some really wicked stuff. And I was back like when I was in high school, and then never really saw anything else with it. And then I saw a bike company make a dope anime trailer for their bike. It was crazy. It was like called a katana. It was an amazingly cool commercial. And then just recently, I want to say maybe the beginning of the year, McDonald's made a whole manga based off of chicken nugget sauce or something like that.
Yeah. There is one other brand. Now I think about it. There's a company, I think it might be black owned too. Super Fresh Clothing, probably one of my favorite brands out there. They've done some like fitness weightlifting shirts that were really cool. They had like, I think it was Broly deadlifting, and they've had some with like, there's like one with Goku throwing a weight, which was really cool. They do some really fun stuff with the anime and fitness crossover. So, I think that's really dope. I think even to some extent, I could say that's also been a bit of an inspiration, not only for me for this current collection, but even in the past, I was always looking like, all right, there's other people that like this stuff where they want it to be fashionable too at the same time. And I was like, you're seeing more and more of it. There was like the Fendi Pokemon collection. Tiffany did some stuff with Pokemon. Kith has done some stuff with Marvel Comics recently, which was really cool. Was it? I think it's called Wolves. That brand's done some stuff. They got like Batman collection that they did. Trying to think of who else. Been a lot of sneaker collaborations with different IPs have come out in the past few years, which is really cool. So it's kind of crazy to be my age and see these things like happening too. I'm like, like we always had shirts and things like that, but they were just like basic shirts, just had the character on it, and it was like very simple versus more of the like streetwear and high fashion stuff that you're starting to see now. So it's really kind of cool to see the evolution of things over the years.
Yeah, I know a lot of those shirts and stuff. Like they make the mock gym shirts, but they're named after the anime gym, like Broly's gym and stuff like that. That stuff is cool. And it's getting more and more popular, especially when people are doing collaborations. Like Meg the Stallion, she's all into anime, so like a lot of her stuff has had a lot of influence, which is it's already spread, it's already widestream, but she's helping push it even more for people. Like so all types of wicked collaborations and stuff, and I'm looking forward to it.
I like when I like too sometimes when kind of like what you're saying when the shirts are references where if you know the property that you would get the shirt, but it's not like a direct like pull from the show or anime or game itself. So like another one of my favorite brands, and God, this is super random. So my favorite game ever is called Earthbound. It's like this SNES game. If you ever played Smash Brothers, that's where Ness comes from.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite game ever. And there's a whole fan community on this website called starmen.net. So like starmen are these, they're like these, it's basically what they sound like, but they're these alien monsters that you can fight within Earthbound. And so that's where like the name of the fan community came from. And like a spinoff from that community, there's a website called Fan Gamer where they were creating merchandise based on some of their favorite games. And I stumbled onto that website, and they had really cool gym shirts based on the Pokemon gyms. So like, say like Cerulean Gym, and it'd be like the Carolina blue and white shirt with like the water droplet and everything. And it was like it's a pull from the game, but it's not like just Pikachu on the shirt, so stuff like that I tend to really like. They were out at PAX West. I was there, what was that, 2 weekends ago? They had a big booth. So it's kind of cool to see a company go from like this small little business to having this like huge booth at like a event like PAX West.
Dude, yeah, that's super dope. I love stuff like that. Collaborations are awesome, when they're done right. Blerd fans are passionate about representation and unique stories. What kind of collaborations do you think would engage your audience the most?
So one of the things that we're working on is highlighting and then also creating, and I'm saying this a little bit early, but our own comics, anime, graphic novels, media in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
We've done plenty of things in the past where we've done like, indie comic reviews. We've done things where, we've backed Kickstarters. We've done things like, we go to conventions all the time and meet with different creators. We'll commission their works for some of our projects, things like that. What we're trying to create with Blerd Books is going to be a centralized place to find all of it. Because like outside of the conventions, I'm like, unless you follow people on social media, there's not really a centralized Blerd place online to find all the different properties that everybody's working on. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a piece of it. We're building that out now. And we're going to start with a company called Echelon Comics. We got a pretty good relationship with them. We shared a booth with them out at LA Comic Con. So they're going to be the first ones on that platform that we're building out.
Okay.
And then even creating our own IPs. So we have, our characters within the Blerd world, and we're going to start introducing them into not only other people's, IPs, but we're going to start creating our own with their own stories so that people can connect with them a little bit more.
Awesome, man. That sounds really dope. Actually, they put out good stuff.
Yeah, like it's funny how the universe sometimes like just like brings people together too. Like I
Mm-hmm.
did a review on some of his works or some of their works. That was like maybe one of the first ones I did. That was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. And then, you fast forward about a year and a half, 2 years ago, there's a group called Bay or Blerd Approved Entertainment. And they basically got folded into our team.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very good friends with Echelon. And that's how, we ended up sharing a booth with them out at LA Comic Con. And, everything went well there. Very cool team. Um, and we're like, we're trying to build out this thing. Would you be interested? Won't cost you anything. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is basically, send us digital copies of your books so we can host them on our website. We'll do some marketing promotion on our website. And hopefully, I was like, no promises, but, people that visit our site, they might go on there. They might buy some of the digital versions and, we'll give you a cutback on that. And, it's just another means to passively try to generate some revenue for both our business and then their business too. So we're hoping it goes pretty well. I mean, you never know how these things will turn out, but, if it goes well, it would be really cool to have a centralized, almost like a centralized Blerd marketplace.
Yeah, that's cool. I love, the fact that we talked a lot at the show, and we talked about a lot of things. I love the fact that you're very open for collaborations, and like you really put a lot of work and effort into those while respecting the people that you're working with, and like trusting their creativity as well, and like you putting all that together. Um, how do you cultivate a mentality like that? Like what goes into building that brand, that mindscape of being a part of it, and being able to let some things go for the greater good of the project.
So for me, I have both the very nerdy side, and I mean, I I even say it this way sometimes. It was like I was a straight up like Steve Urkel archetype for a lot of my life, and like even I don't have them on now, but when I was a kid, I had the big glasses. I was very tall, so I was always growing out my clothes. I had the high water pants. I was very academic and studious. So I was, imagine another version, basically copy and paste of Steve Urkel. That was kind of me when I was a kid in elementary school. I got to about sixth grade, and other kids in my neighborhood, they're all playing sports, and then again, I'm a tall kid. They pressured me into playing sports, and if you wanted to have any friends, and where I was growing up from, you had to play sports too.
Right.
So I ended up playing, football, I ended up playing basketball, and those things are all about teamwork, right?
Yep.
Uh, so that's beaten into your head. Somebody's not necessarily going to throw a pass where you want it to. Somebody's not necessarily going to pass you the ball exactly when you want it, or they might take a weird shot that maybe you think they shouldn't have taken. You kind of just get used to people doing their thing, and you're hoping that as you work together as a team, you still ultimately win the game or achieve the goal. And you see that in both sports, but you also see that in, again, I'm a big gamer. Destiny is a great example. We were talking about Destiny a bit earlier. You go in
Yeah.
a raid, you got all your players in a raid. Everybody has to play their part, or you don't progress. You don't get to finish the raid unless everybody is doing the piece of the puzzle that they need to do. So to be successful, there's always a level of I got to trust the people around me and let the pieces fall where they fall. So I think those two things are really kind of where I get a lot of the teamwork mentality. it's way easier to it's way easier to win with other people than it is to try to do everything by yourself. You know.
Like that. Number one, I'm going to point out you throwing in a video game analogy to make that work. I love it. Think that's great. Philip, thank you for tuning in. And no, we're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on Twitch, we're streaming on Kick, YouTube, no, not TikTok, Twitter. I'm not calling it X. I'm never calling it X. Twitter. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, we're streaming a few different places though. But welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. Dude, that's wicked cool. So just looking up some stuff here. I want to see if I can put your marketing brain to the test here.
Okay.
Ohio has a growing nerd culture. That's where I'm located at. But it's not yet in Blerd's top 10 states, in the top 10 Blerd states. What do you think could be done to help boost engagement here to make Ohio a bigger hub for Blerd's community?
Ooh, and Ohio. What did we drive through? I think we drove through Ohio when we were going to C2E2 to Chicago. What was that? A year ago? 2 years ago? I'm really bad with time. But I think we've talked about this on our team in general. So you think about like the landscape, I guess, quote unquote, on the business side of Blerd.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very East Coast heavy, especially like the South. You have certain places where the culture is just more mature. So you got obviously Atlanta, right? Between the different conventions, the different businesses, the different groups down there, Atlanta's a great place for Blerd culture. You got places like New York where there's a ton of us. You got like the West Coast. There's something about the middle America, I would say, it hasn't quite grown to the same level, and I think a lot of that is, well, one, I think is population, right?
Mm-hmm.
We tend to be heavier again, South, East Coast, and then the West. If I was going to try to grow the culture specifically in Ohio, I think one of the big things is going to be events. I think people digitally are getting to the point where their attention spans are so short that a lot of times they're just going to check out. So spending too much time purely on the digital part, I think it's going to be pretty tough, or you're going to have to spend a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think getting with either a convention or, we're talking about sports, even sports groups, and spinning off like other events and parties. I think that's a way you could grow it out there. That's probably where I would start, to be honest with you, just to see what kind of initial interest there is.
Okay.
And then you start building out things from there. Like, what are the people out there working on? What are their particular interests? Like, is there something that's in that area more? Is there one of the kind of going back to like the maybe like columns or verticals of nerddom? Are video games a lot stronger than comic books? Is anime a lot stronger in the area? Figuring out, what do they like the most there? I think that's always key.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I teach people that are trying to get better at sales, because like that's my core competency. It's you're always trying to figure out like, why are you here and what do you care about from potential customers, right? It's not I have this thing, come buy it. It's what do you care about? How can I add value to what you're doing? So even trying to create some sort of survey to figure out what are their interests in Ohio, I would start there.
I think that was an incredible answer. I didn't know if I was throwing you too much on the spot with that one, but you killed it. Awesome. All right, hold on here.
I'm just thinking on my feet. I'm like, you got to start with I mean, you might just throw a big video game tournament and they love it, and then they start having them every month, and then it spins off into other things.
All right. So, what anime are you feeling right now? Now, since we're, you are talking Blerd, we're talking anime. Your shirt, your clothing line, the merch and the clothing is inspired by anime. So, like I'm drawing, I believe this character name is Brittany, is the one that I'm drawing right now. So what anime are you feeling right now?
So it's going slow because of the Tyler, and it's an older anime. We're pushing through a Kame Ga Kill. So that's like the, I don't even say date night when my daughter actually goes to sleep. Mm-hmm. That's what we're watching.
I dig it.
They're watching some Hell's Paradise. What else did I watch? I finished Jujutsu Kaisen. Was that last year or is that the beginning of this year? I can't remember.
Beginning of this year.
Yeah. I watched My Hero. I'm all caught up on that.
Do you know how it ends, or you just caught up on the anime?
So one of the bad parts of having something like our company is you get a lot of spoilers. You get between the groups alone, you moderate and see spoilers. You go on social media, you see the spoilers. People talk to you at conventions and accidentally drop the spoilers on you. So I try to not really let it affect my enjoyment of whatever it is anyway.
Okay. Yeah, so you know how My Hero ends then. Sadly.
Yeah. I was gonna say might not want to spoil it for you, chat, but yeah.
Well, chat, spoilers. Y'all get ready. I am a huge My Hero Academia fan. I absolutely adore it. And I enjoyed the ending, but I did have it spoiled for me too. And I hate when that kind of stuff happens because I try to make myself vigilant when not dealing with wild threads. But I just missed it. I just ran into it and whatnot. But then when I read it, I thought it was an appropriate ending, man. I thought it fit very much within the themes of the show and who Deku is.
Yeah.
So I was very happy, man. I enjoyed that series a lot and looking forward to the movie. It's a big.
That's something I talk about with people too. I'm like, you can not like an ending, but it can like make sense and fit. So like, recently Attack on Titan ended, and a lot of people were kind of like, on the fence about how they felt about the ending of that one. And I'm like, the point was the violence never ends, right? That you can't win because of humanity, human nature. You're always going to have violence. You can try to stop things as much as you can, but like the cycle is going to continue. So even, and God, I hope I'm not spoiling this for anybody that cares, but it rolls through the credits and you got the after credit scene where, I guess you call it creature that gives humanity the Titan power. The guy walks through the tree and essentially he's going to get, I guess, infected with the power again. Yeah. The whole cycle is going to start all over again. And, they were showing like all the progression of war and whatnot after, the core cast of the show is gone. It still shows like fighting and whatnot continues.
Yeah.
Humanity gets destroyed, come back. I'm like, y'all are upset about the ending, but even in our own real world, it has always been that way. So it shouldn't be like, a weird ending to you. That's what we have lived, basically since the beginning of time that we know it,
Yeah, see, it wasn't a weird ending for me. I was just frustrated that they kept saying, thank you, Philip. I really appreciate that. I was just frustrated that they kept saying season 3, part 2. Season 3.
Oh, yeah.
Final season part 3. Final season part 4. Dude, just call it season 5. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm not mad at the added numbers because you keep making me think this thing is over and it's not.
Yeah. That's fair. That's why. So I'm mostly anime, but I'll read manga and things alike too. And I was like, I can't have y'all spoiling Demon Slayer for me. So I got like the whole set of that.
Woo.
That was so that last season. The last season was dry till the last episode. I don't know if you watched that or
I
that one
did. I
too.
do. I do. That's hey.
Okay,
That's what you got the woo for me from.
yeah, that was that arc was dry until that last episode, and then it turned way up, and like that's what we're gonna get going forward. And
I,
was
I know some
I
people
appreciate it.
didn't like that last season, but I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. But I also like training montages and stuff. I like watching our hero work and see how they do the things. I thought there was a lot of value in that. But then when they ended it, spoilers, and opened it up to say that they're going to finish this in a trilogy in the movie theaters,
Yep.
I said that is one of the best. That was awesome. I'm
Right.
super excited for that.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
love stuff like that.
Well, even with that, it would have been weird if all of a sudden they jumped from where they were in the last season to all of a sudden they're taking on the most powerful demons. Like that would have been weird to not have that training arc session because, like, it would have. You always got to suspend disbelief to some extent, but it would have been like almost too much, and it would have made the story, which a lot of people criticize the story for not being as good as some other things, but that would have definitely made the story weaker without the training that they got in the season.
Yeah, and plus, there's about to be casualties. One of the things that I really enjoyed, but I know it's going to hurt, is they're going to kill people. And if you're a storyteller, you know that part of that last season was about creating bonds.
Yep.
Like it reinforced new bonds. It reinforced bonds that were already there. You got to see more of characters that you barely got to deal with before, whatnot. So you have a love, like, hate relationship with some of these characters now. And going to these movies now, it's gonna hurt. They don't have to build up any characters or anything. It's like straight into let's get into the resolution. And there's so many final fights that's gonna be happening here.
Yeah.
Like I see the emotion and the action is going to be raised, and I can't. Me and my daughters cannot wait for it. Me and my daughters and my son, we freaked out when they jumped and all those doors opened up. We were going crazy in here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting. I'm ready for it, and hopefully, this isn't one of those things where it takes forever for us to get all of it. Like, not to put a rush on those people, but I think the fans are, after the way it ended the last episode, the fans are ready.
Yeah, they're absolutely ready. They're begging for it. Let's see here. Where do you see the future of Blerd apparel and merchandise? What kind of stories or characters would you love to see take center stage as your brand evolves?
So, Blerd is a company, like our culture, we call it peak culture. So PIQ, positivity, inclusion, and quality.
Okay.
And each one of we've been telling the story of the characters somewhat throughout the merchandise through the years, and some people have picked up on it. Some people will stop for a second and they'll actually take a look at the shirt. They'll read the quotes, and they're getting a feel for some of the personality of the brand. But that's always been a piece of it, and expanding on that going forward is going to be really big. We want to, and we've already introduced 2 of the 3 characters of Peak. So there's Brittany, there's Bianca, and there's Brianna. We've already seen Bianca. That was really, I want to say she was our main character, but she's at least the one we started with.
Right.
This year is about Brittany, and Brittany, she has the quality tenet of Peak. So this year, even as a company, our biggest focus was on stepping up the quality of what we're doing. Like, let's make better content. Let's make better merchandise, even if it's just like little things that we can do to make the brand better. You know, we got like better packaging than we had last year. Um, I think we've got even better designs and composition on some of the shirts. We've got products that we haven't released before, and things where we didn't necessarily love it. You know, we killed those products. You're like, you know what, this isn't to the level that we want to go to. So let's let that go. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people in business in general, because like you create a business, and even I gotta imagine, you know, people to create comic books, people to create art and mangas. You created this thing and it's your baby, so it's hard to ever let like anything go.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the process is learning what are the things that I need to like let go. This needs to go. This isn't really serving me. This isn't serving the brand. This isn't serving the business. So like, let's get rid of that. That to me can be sometimes even harder than creating things.
Dude, that's crazy that you said that. We just kind of went through that with one of our comic book stories, Emerald Quest. Um, I've been working on this one just as long as my flagship title, Hotshot. But it's been through its ups. Oh, I forgot a leg. But it's been through its ups and downs. And we found the artist who is really good. His name is Seth DeMoose. He drew the latest issue, and we're looking at this and we're like, man, this is really good. Our second issue has like 3 different artists in it, so it's not cohesive, and just everything kind of fell apart on that second issue. So we were like, you know what? While he's waiting for the new issue to be written, let's go ahead and get the second issue redrawn by him.
Right.
And he showed his complete ass on that issue. You can tell he got comfortable with all the characters. He found his style. And so we're sitting here looking at this thing like he's got to redraw 1 and 3. He's like to make, because like he has defined who these characters are now with his art. He's got to draw issues 1 and 3, and that's going to be a pain in the ass to pay for, because we've paid for 4 books to already be done. But we did it, and it looks fantastic. It looks so much better, and we're getting 2 books out of it because he draws in what can be considered a manga style in black and white. So we're going to release a manga of the book, and then we're going to release a regular trade in full color. So we're getting 2 for 1 out of this thing, and hopefully with that manga version, we reach a whole new audience of blerds and anime geeks with that to pull them into the rest of our products.
Right. Sometimes you gotta take a step backwards and be like, wait a minute, or even before that, sometimes you gotta hit the pause before you take a step back and like look at what have we actually done. Like, and we did that pretty hardcore with our merch. So like, if you look at the shirts that we did probably like 3+ years ago, you look at the quality of those versus what we have put out the past few years, it's significantly different. And there's reasons for that. So like, I looked at one key piece that I looked at was, all right, we're working with these different artists and putting these pieces of art on shirts, but they all look very different. Like, they don't look like a brand. They all look like different characters on the different shirts. So it doesn't feel cohesive. So that was one thing that we looked at. And then we said, if you're going to have this level of detail on a shirt, it needs to be to a certain quality of shirt so that when the ink goes in the shirt, I know you've probably put on shirts where it's like a huge piece and you can like feel the ink on the shirt as you're wearing it. It just doesn't feel like as comfy as a lot of other shirts do.
Yeah.
So you got to go with like a thicker, higher GSM shirt to compensate for that, to kind of remove some of that. You make the shirt heavier to make the ink on the shirt feel lighter. So that's one piece.
Okay.
And then we went with the acid washing over the shirt to kind of almost they're black shirts, so you're using the acid wash to almost make the shirt a little bit lighter too, and to give it a little more like definition on the material itself and a little bit of filling. And then we would do like the DTG over those shirts. And these are the streetwear shirts I'm talking about with the characters on them.
Mm-hmm.
That way, it feels good when you put it on. It feels heavy. It lasts, and you're able to put a higher level of detail in the art itself and have it still translate. That was a big thing I learned at the promotional products company. There's all these different print techniques. There's all these different materials. There's all these different things that actually go into taking something from the digital to the physical. And you got to think about things like how big is something going to be on. It could be a cup. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not just a shirt. It could be a cup. It could be a business card. It could be a balloon. It could be anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the material? How detailed is it? What are the colors? I even tell people, keep your logo. Like, people love like these super detailed logos with all the shading and all this stuff.
Yeah, they
Keep
do.
your logo 3 colors or less, because it's going to keep your print costs down. And the simpler it looks, the easier it's going to translate in different mediums as you print things out. And I'm like, I know it looks amazing on the screen, but like it's not going to look amazing on a card. It's not going to look amazing on a little mug. It's not going to look amazing on a pen. I'm like, can you put your brand on a pen? Like, think about how big a pen is. Will it work on that? And if the answer is no, like it might be time to go back to the drawing board. Like, if you think about all the biggest brands that you know in the world, and like close your eyes, you think about Apple, think about Nike, think about even Microsoft. Those are all Facebook, X, Twitter. You call it Twitter, X. All of those logos are very simple for a reason, because they know from a brand perspective it needs to translate all over the place.
Right.
So I'm really big on that. And then one of the biggest things, kind of going back to the beginning of the conversation, composition. I was like, all these artists are all going to have their different art styles, no matter what, going forward into the future, right? Like, this person draws this way, this person draws this way, that person has that style. That's something we can't control, but we can have the brand, right? We can have certain colors that we want to use, certain elements in the designs that we want to use. So we can take that. That'll help make things more uniform for the brand, and we can control the composition of these shirts. So the characters are not done by us, but we can control all of the little pieces, the way that the text Blerd is on the shirt, any little floating elements around it. And that's why we're like, you know what? We don't need you guys to design shirts for us. We need you to design these characters that we're going to put on the shirts, and then we will control the composition piece. And that way, regardless of who creates merch for us, it all feels like our brand, because we standardized on the colors and brand standards and logos, and we're controlling the composition piece of the shirts too.
That's what's up, man.
That
That's
was a
what's
long
up.
rant, but that's how we kind of got to, the quality control and the brand part.
Jonas Olson, what's up? How you doing? I love hearing about that kind of stuff, man. So I think that's great. Hey guys, if you tune in, if you're listening to us, please don't forget to go check out our Kickstarter launch page, fskgo.com. We are at 89 followers. If we get 100 followers on here, I'm launching a Kickstarter and showing you the secret collector's cover. And it's spicy. You guys want to see that. You want to check this out. All right. I think I'm almost done with phase. I'm done with phase 2 right now. So what do you think of Brittany?
It's looking good. I like the action pose. So we're not going to share any of it. We're going to hold back. I was going to let you get a preview of some of the other stuff coming out, but I think we'll wait. And you know what? We can do this. We'll show one of them.
Okay, you want to share your screen?
Yeah, give me one.
While I'm setting up the phase 3 of my plan here.
It's my Let's do this and share. And let's share this window. Let's see if that pops up.
Yeah. Hold on.
So that's
Oh.
the volleyball one. And let's see what happens when I click forward. Is it going to show the rest? So that's the front. This is the back.
Okay.
Back's looking like, and kind of going to with what you're drawing, the action pose. It's like, okay, I can already see that this is going to like work out, right? There's the action pose. And, there's one of the images like not on the shirt. There's the front. You can kind of see, well,
I like that.
and then there's one. You know what? We'll show the basketball one too. I really like the basketball one. Or you know what? We're gonna hold the basketball one because we got something else really cool that we're working with in tandem with that. So we got like some shorts coming out. We're gonna do a basketball jersey, and we're thinking about doing an actual basketball itself too.
Okay.
So I'll hold the basketball one. I'll let you see the tennis one too, though. Boom. This is like the first time anybody outside of like our team has seen these. So there is the tennis one.
It's not popping up. Oh wait, here you go. Sorry, I gotta bring it back out.
There we go. Here's the tennis
Oh
one.
wow, that's great.
Yep. So that's the back of that one. And let's show. That's the sleeve. That was the art from it. There's one of the front arts. And that's what the front's going to look like.
Okay.
And it's a funny thing that I was thinking about when we're going through all this. I was like, we normally just do a front print when we sell these things.
Mm-hmm.
But the main art is going to be on the back now. So I'm like, all right, when we're showing this in the retail, I'm like, do we flip the shirts and show the back first instead of the front and then let them flip it around and see the front? I was like, how is that going to work? Because you only get so much space, especially when you're at like a convention, right?
Right.
So if we tried to show the front and the back at the same time, you're essentially taking up two spots at once, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, that's not going to work. I'm thinking we might even have to go like more vertical because you get 10 by 10 as a standard spot in any convention.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then you buy the spaces based on how many 10 by 10 blocks you want. So for the smaller ones where we're only doing 10 by 10, I'm like, all right, maybe we need to go up more because they don't limit how high you can go necessarily. But that creates its own logistical challenges too. So
Right.
We'll figure that out. But that's a little preview of the sports collection, and when I saw the pose you created, I was like, okay, I could already kind of mentally start kind of picturing how it's going to look, and I like that you went with soccer. I know we talked about like soccer or track.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we got basketball, we got tennis, we got volleyball. Now there's going to be soccer. There's a weightlifting one, and there's a football one. And now we have so many pieces of art. I'm like, maybe we're going to do a part 1 and then a part 2. Because I'm like, it's going to be hard to sell that many designs at once. And then I'm also thinking about the convention season has shifted pretty dramatically for next year. So a lot of our bigger shows, they're earlier in the year now. So from a production standpoint, instead of basically me trying to create this fall collection and then literally turn around as soon as this is done and try to flip something before the beginning of next year, I'm thinking we do a part 1 of Blerd Sports and then a part 2. Because that's another thing that's really challenging when you're kind of creating, for trying to create this level of merch is, these aren't like simple pieces, and they
Right.
have to be manufactured. So you have lead time within the manufacturing process. And I say beginning to end, this whole thing normally takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months for me to go from like an idea to actually having like finished products that people can purchase. So like we'll come up with the general idea for a collection. Like this one's Blerd Sports, right?
Right.
We'll commission a different artist and say, hey, these are ideas. These are some of our general thoughts. We need you to draw it, and that could take, anywhere from, a week to maybe a month, maybe even longer sometimes to get the character done. From there, we do some composition work. That might be a week, 2 weeks. Usually, that part usually doesn't take too long. But then, the team has little pieces of feedback and kind of go back and forth messing with things. We might change the quotes that we put on shirts around, things like that. Then we get a sample. You're talking about another maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks for the sample to be created. If it's perfect, cool. You can move into final production. If not, you might be looking at another week or two to get another sample if there's some changes that need to be made. And then things go to final production. And this is something too that's like really key. I think people need to know if you're going from, like local printing to trying to create things overseas is you have different types of freight as well. So
Okay.
you have the main manufacturing that could take who knows how long. Give yourself probably a month to say, and things can ship either via air freight or sea freight. The air freight's like a lot more expensive
I
than the
believe
sea
it.
freight, like sometimes double, depending. The sea freight, the sea freight, I almost look at it like if I got time, it'll get here someday eventually. That's kind of how I mentally look at sea freight. It might be like 2-3 months before you get whatever it is you order if it goes by sea. Versus you do air freight, it's going to get there way faster. Like you might be looking at a week or 2 weeks with air freight, but it's going to cost a lot more. So you have this is a way I also try to teach people to look at how, when you're buying this stuff, how to kind of like mentally understand what's going on. Because the manufacturers are going to give you a price, right? First, they're going to have a minimal order quantity when you're trying to like do manufacturing overseas. You have to order a certain amount of units, period, for them to even do the project for you.
Uh-huh.
So that's part one. And then you have to get pricing from them. It's usually tiered pricing based on the quantity that you're doing. And if you're starting out, you're probably going to be doing pretty low quantities, right? So you're going to get the worst pricing from them. You can negotiate some of it. You can negotiate things like, all right, well, if I order, I want the cost of these samples included or deducted from the final price, things like that. You can once you get really good relationships with manufacturers, and you're buying a certain level of stuff. Some of them will give you free samples, so that's something
Okay.
that's really cool too. Like that's you've probably been working with them for a year, maybe a couple of years, whatnot, and now like they know that you're going to buy things. They know you're like a serious buyer. You might even get better pricing. You might be able to negotiate like, hey, with this pricing, I want you to include the packaging now. There's things like that, but those are some of the pieces of it. But you also need to understand that just because you have, like, say something's like $10, right?
Uh-huh.
You still have to pay for the freight, and the freight might be double whatever the total cost is of the units. So say you got, let's just do easy math. Units you're getting 100 units. They're $10 a piece. So you're at $1,000. Your freight might be $1,000 too. So you need to know
Oh my
that
goodness.
you're like, my actual cost is $2,000. My landed cost now is $20 per unit, and like landed cost is what the final price is when it hits your doorstep, what you paid. So like divide that by the units, and that's your landed cost. So I tell people to calculate that, and then you need to say you're going to a convention and selling something.
Hmm.
It could be online, it could be convention, it could be whatever. You need to be factoring in your approximate cost to even go sell at those events, plus the cost of the units itself, that landed cost. So now you kind of have a rough cost of goods sold metric to go off of, and you need to be margining off of, or I say margining, I don't even know if there's a word. You need to increase your margin high enough so that you're getting a good profit, you're covering your costs, you're able to pay yourself a little bit, and also pay your taxes too. You need to be like all of those things. So say your landed cost is $20, you probably need to be selling that unit somewhere in the anywhere from 40. I might even go all the way up to $80 per unit, depending on what it is, so that you're covering your bases. And I know that sounds like crazy from a or a price perspective. I'm like, you can't be out here, you know, buying something for 20 and trying to sell it for 30 and thinking you're gonna make any money. Like you got to be, higher up there, and to justify the price that you're charging customers, it has to be to a certain level to even get them to pay for it. So there's like a lot of things that go into, I think, selling the stuff that, people wouldn't necessarily think of. You're just like, I want to create this dope thing. I want to create this great thing and go sell it. And, they run off and do that. I'm like, pause the brakes. Like, let's do some of the business behind some of this first, so that you don't go out of business and we can continue to have this great thing that you're trying to make.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is, you want to do what you do. You want to do what you love and what you're passionate about, but those are the things that come with it that you have to learn, that you have to understand. We have some merch ourselves, some jackets and hats and stuff, and like people really dig our jackets, but it cost me $60 because we print on demand to get that jacket made, which means
Yep.
like you said, if you want to make any money off it, then I got to raise the price to $85, $90 to get the jacket.
Yep.
And we do have some people that will go ahead and get that because they understand that. But man, I would love to be able to get that cost down so I can bring that price down so more people can
Yep.
get it.
Well, and then you can, but you have to buy them in bulk and get them manufactured. With that, you're shifting some risk around, though, right? With print on demand, print on demand is basically no risk, but also almost no profit. Versus, buying in bulk, your profit can potentially go way up, but your risk has also gone way up too. So you got to kind of, even us, we started with print on demand at the beginning. Like that's where we tested a lot of our ideas. We were like, let's do samples of things. Let's see how things look. Let's see if people, one, vibe with this brand at all. We don't know. I think print on demand is really good for when you're starting. I think once you're trying to like build a little bit more, you're trying to increase your profit, you're trying to increase your quality, I think that's when you got to shift over to the model where you're manufacturing the stuff. And then that's where it gets a lot more real when you start doing that. Now you're reaching into your own pocket, you're reaching into your line of credit, your credit cards, you're getting loans, whatever, or maybe even the profit that you had before, whatever funding source you have, that's you taking it out of your pocket, and now you're putting your money up. And I'm like, let's make sure that this thing that you're making is good enough so you can charge the prices you need to charge to keep moving.
Mm-hmm. Well, awesome, man. I think I'm done. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks great, man. I really like it. Like the pose is great. Like it's a great action pose. I think. I like the color. Like I mean, you're on spot on with the brand colors. I like the jersey. Uh, I like how you did a little mock up too. I can like envision some of the things that we can do with this already. So
Huh?
I'm even like I kind of want to show you the basketball.
Well, I'll leave that up to you. You've given us some spoilers.
Because I'm like, you gotta be sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, should we make a soccer ball too? That would be kind of cool. You know what?
I love it. I love it. The ideas and the creativity cooking right now in your head.
Because you got me thinking now. I'm sitting here looking at this screen. So we're doing basketball jersey. I'm like, should we do? I want to see how the basketball one goes first, and then I'm like, with part two, I'm sitting here like, do we drop a soccer ball and a soccer jersey on the part two with the shirt? That could be kind of cool. And maybe, and timeline wise, I'm like, that works too. So you got me kind of sitting here cooking up some ideas because I've never made like a sports item per se before.
Mhm.
You know, like I've done like promotional product basketballs, but you know, let's see if I can pull this up. I'm trying to think of where it's saved. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna pull this up for you.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all.
Because you can see what I'm thinking with the soccer ball based on this too. You know what? Only the people that have been in your chat are going to see all these spoilers. It's okay. Hopefully, the people out there aren't like screenshotting this or anything, but like, let's do this. I'll share this with you.
Oh, that makes that look even better. We're good. All right, let me see. Let me stop my screen.
So we're getting samples of these and pretty soon. So like that's what the basketball looks like.
Yeah.
So when you put the soccer ball up, I'm sitting there imagining like the panels. Like I'm like, would it be tri-panel where you got the traditional black and white panel, but every once in a while there's the camo panel too on the ball? I'm like, that could be cool. Or do we kill the black panel and do black panel, camo panel for each one? Or maybe we do the opposite, keep the black panels, replace the white ones with the camo panels. That could be kind of cool. So like now I'm sitting here thinking about how a soccer ball could look too. And I'm sitting here like, you know, ooh, should we drop the last ball? You know, whatever.
That looks cool, man. That looks really cool.
Let me see if I can even find this. I need to like reorganize a lot of my files.
Oh, don't we all?
My desktop is horrendous right now. I got a bad habit of saving things to my desktop and then like going and filing them later on. So here's a preview of this. It's a real rough copy, but this is what the jersey is going to look like. So that'll be coming out.
A lot of those.
I'm hoping these do well. So there's the jersey, and we've already shown some of these, so you can kind of imagine what this is going to look like, or what the jersey is going to look like, because they're going to basically accompany these. This is what the shorts are looking like. It took me forever to get these shorts done the right way. Like there's been multiple iterations of this. Let me see if I can share it. Oop. All right. See if that pops up.
Got it.
So these are the shorts. They're gonna go with the jersey. It took me it was like it's funny how like sometimes simple things can be a lot more difficult and take you a lot longer than you think they're gonna take. So like
Mhm.
the initial copy, we had the camo on the front inside of the text, and it just looked too busy. It needed to be dumbed down. Kind of going back to the part of the conversation where like sometimes you just gotta take things away. So I was like, that's too much.
That wasn't supposed to go good.
So we got rid of that. They were too long too, so
Uh-huh.
we cut off about, I think it was like 2 inches off the inseam to like make the size of them a bit better. And then even getting the colors right on the side took a while. I was like, it feels like it shouldn't take this long to make a pair of shorts, but it took a
No,
while
no,
to make a pair of shorts.
no, absolutely. It's a process. It
Yeah.
is definitely a process. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, looking up your information and looking on your website and perusing around about Blerd. Like, you have an amazing team on there, and I saw that Fantastic Frankie was part of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is literally her name, Fantastic. Uh, I watch her videos and I love watching them, but she gets on my nerves because she'll say something and I'll immediately want to jump and stitch the video and argue with her. But then I have to stop and think, and she makes me do this. Am I looking at this with my male eye?
No.
Before I try to come at Fantastic Frankie, how am I looking at this? And she makes me listen and really want to hear that side and look at it from different perspectives. We had her on the show last year when she was great on here.
Yeah. Perspective is a funny thing.
Yeah.
Because you can be looking at things one way and then have somebody else look at the same thing and just have a completely different view of it. I think what she does, which is really great, is she has very solid arguments and evidence to back up what she's saying. So it doesn't just feel like because I feel this way, I'm making this argument. There's meat behind what's being said too. And I always appreciate that level of intellect when it goes into arguments really about anything. Uh, so I bet you at Atlantic Comic Con, right? And speaking of perspective, right? So it's really funny how sometimes other people's perspective could just make your life so much easier and better. So right across from me, what is it? I think it's his Instagram's like Chumps Atlanta. Literally straight across from me is this photographer, right? And I'm messing with, there's like the layout of Atlantic Comic Con, and I'm sitting here messing with this banner back and forth, trying to figure out, I'm like, how do I want to lay this banner out in this space? Because it's a weird spot, because like we're right on this corner. And I'm like, if I have it just straight across like this, it kind of blocks off being able to see our booth, and it makes the traffic kind of go weird, right? And if I have it facing kind of like flat against the wall, then other people can't really take pictures with it. And the way the foot's sticking out, somebody might trip on it. So I keep on like kind of flipping it back and forth for a while. And I turn and look at this guy for a second. He like sees me standing there, like looking like with my hand on my chin. And he's like, yeah, just angle it diagonal. I just turned this banner diagonal and it's perfect. People can take pictures on it. It doesn't block the traffic. Nobody's going to trip on it. And I was just like, that was the simplest piece of advice. It was such a small, simple thing that it almost made too much sense, but I couldn't even see it, Yeah. And I'm like, just having that other person's eye in that moment was like the piece of advice I needed. And I was getting way overly frustrated, like trying to do this thing. And this guy was just like, just turn it diagonal and it'll be good. I was just like, it was such a common sense thing that I was almost frustrated at how smart the advice was, Like, how you get those, I was just like, how did I not see that,
Right.
You're like, am I the idiot? Because that was too blatantly right.
Yeah, it'll happen from time to time, and you get caught up into your work, and you have a process of figuring things out, and you kind of apply that process to everything when You didn't need 6 steps for this thing. The first 2 steps would have got it. And like perspective is a different type of thing to have.
Yep.
Um,
Well, that's why I think, talking about the team and everything, that's why it's good to have team. Like,
yeah,
I really believe in team because you can see things one way and you can just have your blinders on and you're missing everything around you. Somebody else on the team will say something and you're just like, that just makes sense. Like, and it happens. I won't say it happens every day, but with my team, it probably happens at least weekly, if not monthly, weekly. Somebody will say something so simple and have just a different perspective. I'm like, that's what we're gonna do. They'll be like, oh, you should make this double layered, or with the bonnets, right? We were doing the bonnets. They had the little like plastic enclosures on them, or have like a majestic note. I never got that one before. Uh, they had the plastic pieces, and Pinky on my team was like, "Yeah, when I lay down on those, they're uncomfortable." It was like, "All right, let's change that up." And then we went with the ties, and people like the ties way better. And it's like her perspective, right?
yeah,
Me, that wasn't a big of a deal, but she said it. I was like, "All right, we're making that change," and it becomes that times hundreds of things, maybe thousands of things, and you just get better. Other people around you just making you better.
yeah. I definitely can speak on that with the team that I work with for our comic books, and put them together. They have helped me out a ton and provided different avenues and different lanes to look at things and get things accomplished and stuff like that. Midori is part of that team. So hey, Midori, shout you out for being in here. So right now, I want to show you guys because I don't believe any of you are believing what I'm saying about this book. So what I've brought up is the trailer to Vigilance. I'm showing this for the first time. I shouldn't even be doing this because we're not at 100 followers, but I need to lead y'all in. So we're gonna watch this trailer and we'll be right back.
This is Dick Jacobs reporting live with Channel 7 News. This just in, pandemonium strikes downtown Columbus as a rather mammoth creature terrorizes the city, with efforts from the Columbus Police Department seems almost futile.
All right, y'all. That was the trailer. Go see it. It is the collection of the first 4 issues of Vigilance. She is trying to find her safe space, her place where she can find out who she really is. The world's strongest superhero is going on a quest to figure out who she really is. Issues 1 through 4. Our collector's edition has bonus sketches, behind the scenes stuff like with art and layouts and things like that, even some of the scripts. But this will be all on our Kickstarter along with our new Flex jacket and the Flex shirts with keychains, shoes. We got everything on here. And if you are there for when I stream the launch, you're going to have a chance to win a commission that I'm going to draw for you and add to your rewards. So go ahead and hit that following button so I can launch this campaign. I'm ready.
I think my showing things early must have rubbed off. I got to see it first.
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it.
I literally like, you shouldn't do that. You should wait till it's done. But sometimes you get excited. I think people like when you're excited about the thing you're working on. It definitely like comes across.
Yeah, I love creators being able to go out here and like have products that they're working on and sharing things. I'm like, hey man, I just feel like I had to match your energy. You showed us the basketballs, you showed us the shorts, the jerseys, and some of the art for the tennis. I really like the tennis one.
That one.
Thank you, Attitude.
That one has been a lot of the team's favorite. So for those three, the artist is Blaname Art. I feel like we got lucky. So like, this is basically when we're first starting the brand. I think I just stumbled on her on like Instagram, and like I was like, man, her art is really dope. I was like, I wonder if she would do some commissions for us. And in a lot of ways, we kind of like grew together with a lot of this. Like our business is growing, her followers grew. She's worked with like a bunch of huge companies. She worked with like Fenty.
Oh,
yeah, she's been blowing. She blew up crazy. She blew up even past us. I was like, man, we got lucky. We got in there early before we had to pay like the crazy commissions you probably charging now.
Right.
She killed those. Like I was super happy when I saw what she did, and she's been for a large part. I'll say she's probably been like one of my main go-to artists, just because I can literally just give her. At this point, we work together so much. I can just give her a general idea, and she just does it. Like I don't have to really go into much detail. I'm like, these are kind of the general ideas for what I want for this project, and it's just like she'll send me a text like, a week or two later, and it's just like finished. And I was like, wow, like half the time there's no like edits, there's no changes. She just like already kind of knew what I was thinking. Or half the time, probably 75% of the time, she did something better than what I was thinking. So, shout out to her for working with us all these years.
That's awesome. Well, look, I'm gonna have to. We're gonna wrap it up right now. We rode in some good time. The conversation was flowing, and you were dropping a lot of knowledge. So I wanted people to hear that. I wanted people to get used to that. Again, we're gonna put up here. Let me see. Where's that? Boom. Go check Blerd out. They are doing a lot of incredible things, as you saw from the show. Go check out their website. They have a lot of cool clothes. They have a lot of cool merch and stickers and things like that on their site. And their site is actually rather entertaining. They got anime shorts on there as well, which I did not know was on there. I got caught up in watching those. But go over there, check out the site, make some purchases, check out a few things. The designs are really good. I know a guy. So I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you want to tell everybody where they can find you one more time, like what's your socials and things like that, go right ahead.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, appreciate you having me on. I don't get a lot of opportunities to just like pop out and talk, and the timing is great because the toddler is asleep. I was like, I can focus. Everybody wants to do things during the day. I was like, the day is crazy.
Right.
But you can find us at blerd.com on socials. Pretty much everything, we're at Blerd Official. And I'm trying to think. Event-wise, coming up, we'll be at going to the Kickback in DC. It's started by Community Media. Super cool group of people. We're going to be at Revolt World in Atlanta. We're going to be going to New York Comic Con. That's one of the big ones we're doing. What else? And then Anime Week in Atlanta. I feel like I'm missing something, but those are the ones I can remember off the top of my head.
Awesome. Midori wants to know if you need models.
Actually, send us a message. We do a bad job at product photography, so it's not a horrible ask.
It could be. It could be. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, chat. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. We will be back next week. I know. Oh, we got Kismet Comics coming on next week. So that's going to be a good one. She's been at DreamCon, and she is literally out here testing out her dream of making comic books. If you guys like the show, obviously subscribe, like, follow, all that good jazz would be much appreciated. There are more than just my show on this network. We have 5 other podcasts that go on during the other days of the weekend. I stream during the day, either drawing or video games that I am playing or whatnot. So come back, hang out with your boy, and let's have a good time. I want to thank you guys for all being here tonight, and we'll catch you next week at the next episode. Everyone, as always, thank you for hanging out with us. You stay on, sir, and you guys have an epic night.
No, I think that I should ask Mr. Watson. I think that I should ask Mr. Watson.